In this country, we have what is effectively a broken energy policy. I think a lot of people realise that it's broken, up to and including much of the government, but the problem we have is that there is a time lag between a realisation that our energy policy is broken and a change to it. It's been broken over a long period of time and for some fairly deep reasons. And the problem that we're facing is that the previous solution to our looming energy gap was considered to be building a very large number of wind turbines, both onshore and offshore, in these islands. And until we can get that overturned as the basis of policy, we are at enormous environmental risk. Central government has, over a period of time, essentially placed renewable energy at the centre of its agenda, and then in the National Planning Policy Framework last year went on to describe this thing called presumption in favour of sustainable development. And as far as they're concerned, renewable energy in all its forms falls into that category. So in my experience, wherever planning issues come up, there is a hill to climb, and we've experienced this in the West Country a lot, and in Somerset I'm sure that is something that's going to be very much the same hill to climb as these applications arrive. Inspectors will look at the applications and they will say, I understand your objections, I understand the noise issues, I understand the landscape issues, I understand the environment issues, but the government is telling me that I should presume in favour of these renewable technologies, and therefore it's difficult to prevent these appalling monstrosities being buried in the countryside.
I think there is an issue that if wind turbines are so great, why do some councils now are starting to reduce your rateable value of your property? There's obviously an effect. And also, if people how can you put it? If you think they are so great, why would developers encourage people to not complain about it with an incentive added into that? That's what worries me, is encouraging people not to complain for whatever reason is an issue that I think we should be looking at as well.
This is regular across the whole country. It's happening again and again. It shows the cynicism of national government that talks about localism, that talks about putting more and more decisions into the hands of local people, and then when local people make the decision, the government comes along and overrules them. I understand the problem the government has. The government is under pressure from European rules, European targets to deliver. On the other hand, it's facing opposition from local groups for local environmental reasons who are opposed to these developments.
The government is starting to push their focus to offshore wind, which is essentially a stepping stone. They're recognising that wind is unpopular, and they think they can make it less unpopular by pushing it offshore. And in Somerset, that is having catastrophic consequence, because Somerset, along with North Devon and the Gower Peninsula and Pembrokeshire, are facing the prospect of the thing called the Atlantic Array, which is a gigantic offshore wind farm, up to 278 turbines, up to 700 feet tall, which will be sitting in an area twice the size of Bristol, just between the Exmoor and Pembrokeshire coasts. Bridgewater, obviously, Bridgewater and West Somerset essentially are areas which will be impacted from that, because there's a lot of tourism on that coast, and a lot of Exmoor falls into the Somerset area, and I think in that part of the world, 1 in 6 people works in a tourist-related industry, 17%, and these are economically less advantaged areas. I think I'm right in saying that one of the towns in North Devon, Bideford, actually is the lowest paid area, one of the lowest paid areas in the country. And if you then start driving a coach and horses through its unspoiled scenery, which is what is the tourist draw, you're taking an enormous gamble with people's livelihoods. I mean, it could be devastating.
The savings we thought we were making in fossil fuels and in emissions by going to renewables are actually largely offset by the inefficiencies of running the necessary fossil fuel backup. Of course, all these renewable technologies are intermittent. Sometimes the sun doesn't shine, sometimes the wind doesn't blow. You have to have backup, usually gas, but some other fossil fuel support to balance out the wind or solar as it goes up and down. Now that's a very inefficient way to run, say, a gas-fired power station. So what you thought you were saving on the renewables, you're actually losing on the inefficiencies down the road in the gas-fired power station.